everyone. Today we have Atif with us. Atif is a technology leader with almost 20 years of experience in digital transformation, strategy, and leadership across industries like fintech and consulting. He's passionate about driving innovation and making a lasting impact through technology and education. Hello, Atif. This was a very brief introduction. I would like us to start with an introduction coming from you. How would you introduce yourself to the world?
All right. Thank you so much, Moses, for having me here. It's lovely to be here and sharing the stories and the conversations we are going to have. As for myself, okay, where do I start? Well, I'm a technology professional. I started software programming at the age of 11. At a very early age, I knew what I wanted to become when I grow up. And technology has been my true north, which I have been pursuing since the very beginning. I did bachelor's computer engineering, master's software engineering. First few years, I worked as a full stack developer as well. And then I graduated from software and to software project management. And from that point onwards, I was being into software leadership roles, getting things done through people in the tech landscape. I worked with banks, predominantly in the Middle East. I've also worked with PwC, again, as in technology capacity. And currently, I'm in London pursuing leadership and strategy, Sloan Fellowship at London Business School. So this has been quite an interesting journey. I've been blessed and fortunate touching with so many areas and having learned so many new things. And I continue to do so.
Yeah, it's really impressive. And let's give our audience the background of why we're here today. We've had quite a few talks about education, thought-provoking ideas that you gave me about why, to what a lot of people think, why college and university might still matter, might still be relevant. And yeah, what are we here today? What are we trying to get to with these conversations we're starting today? Since I said it's a series of conversations about AI.
Well, education is well, this is a very deep topic. I mean, it depends upon so many things: how AI is evolving, how technology is evolving, how us as human beings are evolving, how the technology and learning landscape is evolving. So many things in general are playing a role here. So there's a traditional kind of a classroom system where professor and teacher stands and rows and rows of students sit, and they just keep on listening to what the teacher is saying. That has been there for centuries, if I'm not wrong. That has not too much evolved. But AI is really making a difference. Now that if we talk about executive education, we are learning actually from 4 pillars in a classroom. One is, of course, what the professor is saying. The second thing is the case studies. So we learn from the history in the corporate sector, what happened to all these big giants in the last century, ranging from IBM to Intel to Microsoft to Tesla, all these big companies, how they became big companies. So these case studies are really insightful, practical knowledge that we discuss and debate. So that's the second pillar. Third pillar is more often than not, we have guest speakers. Again, there's academic side and there's the professional side from the corporate sector. So we bring in C-suite people and they talk about their experiences and they talk about their daily challenges, how they came about on those challenges. And the fourth and most important pillar, which I think is very, very fundamental, is that you learn from your classmates. So if you're in a class where everybody is coming from experience of 10, 15, 20 years, when they contribute to the conversation, that sparks new thoughts. That sparks new conversations and debates where how do you address certain challenges and how do you address some things? There are, of course, multiple ways to address anything in a corporate environment. So how academics combine with a corporate, that is the executive education, which is tried to change from traditional classroom system, but then there's huge big thing of AI coming into play. Now, AI is evolving at all levels. So the primary level, the secondary level, and the executive education level go up to all the higher ranks. With AI, you can generate videos, you can generate audios, you can generate homeworks, you can generate cases. Because AI, we have fed the entirety of human knowledge and it knows everything, right? So, which is unprecedented. So you can ask AI to make new discoveries upon certain things of challenges that happened and how leaders addressed those challenges. I know I'm going a little bit on two sides of the spectrum. One is very basic and one is very advanced. But gist of it is everything is mixing. The lines are blurring in between because AI is open for everyone. There are so many startups. They are building AI videos and audios and music for kindergarten to teach them empathy, compassion, and respect and considerations. These are the things are to teach young kids are very difficult, right? So interactive content, building those content was very difficult earlier. Now AI is making it very rapidly fast and very easy that everybody can adopt. So there are so many things. I mean, if you're touching the tip of the icebergs, there are so many things at all levels. Like I said, from the kindergarten up to the executive education to the corporate sector, everything is being changed through AI. So that is a new evolution we are getting into.
Yes, exactly. However, I feel like there's many organizations and schools are trying to embrace AI without really understanding what AI is. It's I keep telling people that it's very important to understand what the ingredients. If each AI model has different ingredients, it's like when you eat food. Before eating it, you need to know what's the ingredients of the food are. So it's very important to understand what kind of model it is and what kind of data it's been based on, right? So. Unfortunately, AI is moving at a quick pace, much quicker than the understanding of people about it. So, what would be the best way to integrate or make this digital transformation happen?
Yeah, I mean, the answer, it really depends upon so many things. So let's say we are talking about pre-kindergarten, nurseries,
It's
primary
primary school.
school, secondary school, and then executive education. So if you drill down on the primary school level, it really has to be governed and made sure that the content that we show to young kids, because many kids from the age of 4 to let's say 11 or 13, preteens, they are more likely to adopt to what they see, right? And in many cases, if you take example of let's say any Pixar movie, although it is made for kids, but those kids are at least 13 above, because in the beginning of the movie, the script usually goes that the main protagonist goes through a tough time, goes through a struggle, and there's a rock bottom in that protagonist's life, is be it Cars, be it any movie that you can take of Pixar movie, and then it shows the trajectory of that protagonist goes from the down to the up, right? How the protagonist progresses. Now that we cannot show to kids from 4 to 11. And the reason is that what if, because the attention span is very small, what if they don't see the entire journey? What if they stop at the down point and they take that as an input, right? So you always have to be careful of, even if you want to show, let's say, the benefits of hardworking, right? And you cannot show that without somebody being procrastinator, and
Yeah.
then you help them achieve becoming a hardworking person and successful person. You cannot show a failure transitioning to the success, because what if the student only sees the failure and it doesn't see the remaining part of it? So you have to be that goes from a different arc. So from production perspective, from a screenplay writing perspective, you have to be careful about that. So that is one part. That's why AI can come into play. First of all, you need to design an understanding of the screenplay, what you are going to narrate on the screen for young kids to learn from, has to have an understanding of what young kids can or cannot do, their cognitive abilities, their cognitive limitations as well. They are growing minds. So from that perspective, second thing is of course, when you are generating the video content, you have to be very careful about the characters that you show them. Usually in media production, they make beat sheets where you make characters, and then characters have their own character arc and their journey from who they are, what they do, and how they evolved in the entire story. Now, kids cannot comprehend that much content, right? So at the primary level, you probably would need to have bite-sized content, 30 seconds video, shorts, reels, TikTok kind of a style, wherein you take one concept of, let's say, empathy or compassion or respect. and you take one story, bite-sized content, in a few minutes, you generate that, right? That you have to be careful about. What AI can do in this regard is speed up the process. Now, if you hire a designer and ask that designer to come up with a character to show certain emotions or certain thing, that designer may take several hours to come up with first draft of a character, which may or may not be useful. And then there goes multiple iterations of that can take from anywhere from days to weeks to come up with a character. Now, AI can rapid fast that into seconds. So the designer can take inspiration from building characters from AI and reduce that process of weeks into a matter of minutes, right? And then you start developing upon. So use as a tool over there in the entire production process. Then music, of course, a lengthy process of ideas to beats to rhythms to overlaps to overlays, and it takes hours and hours and sometimes days and weeks. Now AI, you can give it a command that give me introductory music that is good for pre-teens, and give it a flavor of, I don't know, as a collaboration of Charlie Puth and Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
right? And it can really do that. So you can use that background. So when you are making video content and so learn from it, you really have the story, the screenplay, the characters, and the narration of those characters in the video. And then you have the background score and music about that. These are the common elemental things. AI can, as a tool, fast track each and every layer of this process. So you can make faster content and more content in a small amount of time for more audience. So that's how I would suggest, as in brief, you can start doing, and then of course, each vertical will have more and more detail to it, to what you want to achieve.
That sounds very good. It sounds like it's AI can be a great tool, but you need to the person using it needs to understand how to use it safely and efficiently. And that's why I believe that educating teachers and educators about how to use AI is like you can't just give them the tool without teaching them how to, like you can't give somebody a car without teaching them how to drive the car, right?
Yeah.
So understanding your audience, you mentioned audience, so you need to understand who your audience is, who you're trying to help, really have a solid understanding of their psyche, and then of the goals of the learning objectives. It's very important because you can't just, AI will not help you if you don't know where you want to go. AI can be a good assistant to brainstorm with, to tell you, to indicate or to guide you to the ways to get somewhere, but you need to know where you want to, right? So this is number one. Number two as well, the model. What kind of model? What is the model has been fed as well? AI. I would like so before going into more details, can you give someone who doesn't know what AI, let's say a teacher or somebody who's not familiar with artificial intelligence, what would be your definition of AI? What is AI?
That question that many are even struggling. So there's it starts with a machine being able to understand if it is receiving electricity or not. I'm talking about 19 or maybe even 200 years ago, when binary came into being, right? So 1 and 0. A machine only knows that.
Yeah.
From that point onwards, where we are today is artificial general intelligence, probably, wherein Tesla is creating humanoid robots. That's a very big spectrum, right? So artificial intelligence is machine's ability to talk intelligence, in plain simple words. It's so first you understand the learning, how it learns itself, and that very much depends upon data, right? So in layman terms, you give the machine some amount of data, it processes that data and it starts making decisions on that data. Now, for example, if I were to explain a layman about how AI works, like if you teach a machine 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, a machine will always do 2 plus 2 is 4. It will never be able to do 3 plus 1 is also 4 and 5 minus 1 is also 4. But if you teach a machine how addition and subtraction works, how multiplication works, how these mathematical algorithms work. So based on those algorithms, machine will be able to do 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 plus 1 is also 4, 5 minus 1 is also 4. So we're doing essentially is giving it a lot of data, that is the historic amount of information that this is how additions is done, and then certain level of algorithm that this is how certain processes work.
Isn't
And
it how
combination of
humans
that,
learn, by the way?
this is how
Like
humans
learn
learn.
this way. It's because I tried to find any differences between how machines, how AI is learning, and humans are learning, but I have a hard time finding a difference.
There's no difference.
Difference.
Humans
Yeah.
learn. This is how humans learn, right?
Yeah.
And have this limitation of being human. Machines don't have certain limitations. For example, they can process more and more data as humans at this moment can do. So yeah, it's a combination of your contextual input, your data, and the algorithms upon which it is making certain processing. And the combination of that is it is starting to giving you answer. And when you create a model, which we call as LLM, large language model, based on certain things, based on, let's say, language, it will start churning out what should be the next word after this word. And then these two words it takes back as an input and then try to predict the third word and fourth word, and then automatically created a sentence. And then you feed that sentence back and it will prompt that what should be the next word after that. So that is the transformer. So it repeatedly over and over again. And then it realizes that, and then it would say something that you would say, okay, yeah, this makes sense. It may or may not be true, but it makes sense. So that's how
On
generative
the
AI works.
information it's been fed. It makes sense based on the information it's been fed.
Yes,
Like
based
for
on the
us
information
humans.
it's being fed, right? Now, take this for example, right? So all the information about, let's say, a lot of bloggers, they used to write content on the internet. This was human generated text, right?
Yeah.
That was on the internet. Now AI has read everything that is there on the internet, right? Um, what it is doing is, what more bloggers are doing is like generating stuff, text, essays, and from ChatGPT and feeding that back into the to the internet space. Now there comes a point when AI would realize that, okay, this is something that I wrote some time ago. So the amount of human content is reducing, and the amount of artificial content is increasing. And you extrapolate that on a scale of time, eventually most of the content available for the AI to read upon is the content generated by AI itself. Now, what would AI do then? It will start generating more and more discoveries. Take this, for example. I mean, we are going very high advanced level in that regard. Let's say you feed AI with a periodic table of elements. Now, periodic table of elements have all the known elements of the human knowledge. And based on these elements combinations, you create certain things. Like now you go, let's say, into construction site, and then you say that, okay, dear AI, read this periodic table, find me a combination that generates, let's say, cement or concrete. It will give you the formula. And then you say that, okay, find me a new combination and permutation of a kind of cement or concrete, which is stronger than concrete, and it is thinner to be used in by a 3D printing machine as an ink. And it can probably do that. And then, all of a sudden you probably have a new formula coming out of, because it's the permutation combination of different elements and the amount of what to use, how much, like two carbons and one oxygen is carbon dioxide, two hydrogens and one oxygen is water.
All the
Possibilities for a human to do that is very difficult, and it takes years and years of research. AI can come up with a bunch of formulas in which is be right or may not be right, and then that's why you need research labs to test those formulas. But yeah, it can fast track the process. So that's where AI is. To answer your first question, how would somebody would understand what is AI? Is it's a machine who has the ability to understand based on the data and based on certain algorithms and the ways how to perceive that data, and then it can make intelligent answers. And it evolves generation after generation. The first generation is usually very, very nice. It's just like human being. When a baby is born, it's a blank canvas on their brain, and then you teach them, and then they start getting evolved. And as they grow up, as the AI grows up, it's pretty much the same, because we as humans have taught the systems the way we have learned. So this is how it should be. Yeah.
No, and I think I think you're totally right, and I think that's why it's very important to teach our kids and to learn ourselves how to ask questions. like knowing how to ask questions has never been so important before. That's why we talk about prompt engineering. If you
Yeah.
can tell us our what prompt engineering is and why it matters. And
Yeah.
also, just a quick follow up is I believe, in my opinion, that before exposing our kids to AI, we need to teach our teachers how to use AI.
Yeah.
Simple. Correct me if I'm wrong as well.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, prompt engineering. Well, 2 years ago, my boss and I was having this conversation in my workplace, and we were talking about, okay, software engineering is as a profession is dying. The new breed of engineers would be prompt engineers.
mm,
How prompt, well, software engineering will never die, but eventually it's going to transition into prompt engineering. Now, what is prompt engineering? Because AI is at a fast speed, how you want to get things done from that machine. So you have to give the right context to get the right response. And I posted that about that on LinkedIn as well. So if you tell AI, what is bigger, 9.90 or 9.11, right? But if you tell it 9.90 or 9.11, 9.9 or 9.11, right? It would always say 11 is bigger than 9, because it is taking the lexicographical order of each word is a word by its own merit. So now 11 is generally bigger than 9. So it will say 9.11 is bigger than 9. But if you add the context into your prompt that no, this is a decimal point question in mathematics, in algebra, what is bigger? Then it would change its context and it would say that no, 9.9 is bigger than 9.11, because in algebra and decimal places, each unit after the decimal is a separate number. So it's not 9.11, it's actually 9.11. Then 9.1 is always smaller than 9.9. So the answer is the other way around, right? And that's the of the prompt engineering. So at the time of the prompt, you have to tailor your question to get the right response. AI is almost never wrong. It was right then, saying that 9.11 is bigger than 9, and it is right as well if it says 9.9 is greater than 9.11. um, and it depends upon the context. So the context window, as we call it, the window through which you give the input where the prompt engineering comes into play, you have to give the right context. You have to give the right amount of a number. A point number could be anything.
yeah.
It could be a telephone number, it could be a bank account number, it could be a home address, it could be
Right.
anything, because it's a bunch of digits, right? You
Yeah.
have to give that context that I'm asking an algebra question, or I'm asking a home address where 9 comes first or 11 comes first, right? So that's where prompt engineering is more important. So is AI doing a better job? Depends upon how you are using it. And that's where
Mm,
prompt engineering is very necessary.
exactly. So, introducing that, let's talk about the future of education. Do you think AI is going to play a role in the future of education around the world, and
Yeah.
why?
Well, yes, the overall blanket answer is yes, and the real detail comes in that why and how. Number one is this: professors and the teachers needs to be aware of the AI itself, the capabilities of AI. Use AI as a resource and tool to up every process of your examination. I remember one of the professors here at London Business School. Um, he he put an assignment in the class and say that, okay, as the class was about to finish, they said, this is your assignment for the next class, and everybody was taking notes. And then in the next slide, he says, and this is the response from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
We were like, wow, you are giving us an assignment with an answer already. The real assignment was that, so this was the assignment. This is the response from ChatGPT. I want your opinion about how right or wrong, or how you differ from ChatGPT's answer.
Don't take the ChatGPT's answer at face value. You just need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
think.
And then you have to think in the context of what you have studied in the class. So in a way, he eliminated the entire assignment as GPT proof.
Yeah.
And then now the real thought is invoking that everybody, since it's from different experiences, somebody is from shipping, somebody is from oil and gas industry, somebody is from banking industry, somebody is from God knows what. And
Mm.
from their experiences, they are going to respond differently. And that's how AI would do if you change the prompt. setting the context of, okay, we are talking about this industry or that industry or this sector or that sector. And then doing that assignment was even more fun because most of them have different answers. Because this is a banking industry, this is how it is done in my industry, and this is how my response would be. Somebody from shipping industry had nothing to do with banks. Somebody from transportation industry, mission critical environments, they had different responses. So that's what how teachers can use AI into their context. And yes, they can fast track the process of teaching, the assessments, the review of the assessments. There are so many YouTube and TikTok videos that you can see that a professor gave an assignment. Professor created the assignment with ChatGPT. Students wrote the assignment, the answers to the assignment through ChatGPT, and then the teachers are checking the assignment based on ChatGPT, and that's defeating the purpose. You have to somehow use that as a tool, not to use your job or not to get yourself into comfort zone, but to invoke thought process of human.
And to make it more productive, maybe. I
Exactly.
feel like using AI is productivity on steroids. Like instead of starting at zero, you're already starting at 30,000 per hour.
Yeah. I mean, there are all kinds of assessments, and the answer is really, it depends. So, for example, if you are in a finance class or in accounting class, where usually the questions are on, let's say, balance sheet or numbers, right? In a numerical exam, the answer is an absolute answer. So you cannot really test if the student is cheating because the answer is either yes or a no, right? So you cannot test on that. So that is one part. If and it is very difficult that if where did the answer come from, unless you the students to tell us the method and process how you arrived on that answer, right?
Yeah.
That's probably one thing. On the second thing, where the answer could be very subjective and qualitative, that's where using AI, I mean, you can do certain practices that one of the things that teachers can do that force students to tell how you arrive to that conclusion. What has been your experience in this context combined with AI, and allow using AI. Everybody's going to use AI, either you like it or not.
Maybe like internet
But
or Word.
but make sure that you integrate some level of human intelligence into the question, into the assignment, so that even if somebody uses chat gpt, they would still need to input their own opinions, right? And that's how, I mean, I took so many exams and wherein professors would say, yeah, you are free to use chat gpt, and literally if you use chat gpt, the answer is very generic because that's based on all the public knowledge which
Like
is
an open book exams.
yeah.
Exam, right?
So based on very generic, and can be easily, professor can say, yeah, you are from consulting background, but this is a very generic answer. Where is your consulting experience telling that how you arrived to that if you were into that situation? That's a little bit extra work on the professor side.
Yeah.
And if you want students to do extra work, then professors have to put in extra work as well, because then the answer is not the same for each and every student. Somebody coming from banking industry will not have the same answer as to somebody is coming from oil and gas industry, right? So start with why. So professors should ask that, why am I doing this? Am I going to ask them to arrive at the same answer over and over again, which I'm doing with every single class every year? Or I'm testing their ability, their knowledge, their skills based on what they have learned in what context. So that leads you to a different approach and different answer. And also for students, start with why. Am I going to just pass this exam and move on to next thing? Or am I really going to invest my time and energy to understand, have I understood everything correct? And have I understood everything that is complementing to my knowledge that I can use in the future? So it's sides they have to understand, and always don't use AI as a replacement of your job. Use AI as a facilitator to help you do the job more efficiently.
An enhancer, maybe. Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, and in learning, I think what you just said takes us to the idea of personalized learning journeys, because every person learns in a different way, on a different pace. So I really believe that using AI can be also, as well, useful for students, like based on their knowledge and on their way of understanding the world around them, excuse me, you can use AI in one way or the other. And we can see Khan Academy, for example.
Yeah.
They have this new, well, it's not that new, but AI tool. It's called Khan Amigo. And based on your answers, I don't know if you've had the chance to look at it. Based on your answers, if your answer is not wrong, is not right or close to right, excuse me, they will give you clues. So the AI would not give you the answer ready, but it will try to guide you towards the right answer based on the curriculum. So I think personalized learning is very important, and that we had it so far in our school systems. Another thing, so I believe that teachers, and that's why I was saying teachers actually need to understand how AI works. So my personal opinion is that if you want to introduce AI in a school, you need to start with the teachers, not with the students. Is that right? As somebody who's been working for many years in this space, do you think we should start with the teachers first? Do you think we should start with teachers, students, or
Well, again, the answer to that question is it depends upon the context. I would say everybody would be involved in understanding. And I keep referring to the book I read many years ago, Start with Why. Everybody should understand their role first. Well, as they say that machines are getting better at being machines, are humans getting better at being humans, right? So always rely on human intelligence, more on the artificial intelligence. Always use artificial intelligence as a facilitating tool to enhance your efficiency, but start with why, right?
yeah?
So and one of the places I was talking to, they were saying, yeah, how can we use chat gpt into our business? And I was say that your business doesn't really require a chat gpt. You're without that. No, if we use ai, how can we post about that on social media? And that's where the dilemma is. When you have when you have a hammer in your hand, everything you see is a nail, right?
Mhm.
So businesses, they have ai as a hammer, and they say, yeah, I want to bang everything with this. You have to really understand what is useful or not. It's not that nothing is good or bad.
Know what you need it for. Like you
What you
said,
need it for.
don't
And
just
that's,
hammer everywhere.
yeah,
Don't put it all.
and that's where the answer to start with why comes into play. So you
Yeah,
start with why, and then you understand, and then integrate at if you're talking into education system, the students, the professors, the academics, the study groups, the everything is a in the learning institute is a component of the education. The clubs that you go to, the events that you attend to, the study groups that you meet with, the other cohorts that you meet, the global experiences, everything in an institution is a combination of your learning thirst.
of course.
So ai can be used in any way, and you must start with why. First, understand what you want to achieve. Start with
Yeah.
purpose. Understand what you want to achieve out of this. Keep an eye on what you want to achieve at the end. Begin with the end in mind, right? So if you
Start
are,
with the why.
yeah, and then work backwards, that this is what I want to achieve, and this is what my why was, and this is what I am going to achieve, and this is how I'm going to achieve that. Now, is ai a complementing tool in that process? Then yes, definitely you should use it in
Mm.
whichever context you are in. If it is not, then it's okay. You don't necessarily has to force fit. You don't necessarily have to force fit ai into each and everything. You have to understand what you're doing.
No, totally, exactly. And I think AI can be useful. You mentioned administration before. It can save you a lot of time, save especially teachers. It will help actually teachers focus on what they do best, which is teaching. And instead of getting, being busy doing maybe administrative tasks that they are not actually supposed to do, or even evaluation, like going through big chunks of data, so you can make data decisions. This will help you save a lot of time. So it's about saving time, but as you mentioned, they have to always start with why. Is it useful? Why is it useful? Okay, if I'm going to use AI, what am I going to do with this time that I've saved? It's very important as well. You know, I think it's important for teachers, students, and for everyone, really, right? So if you're delegating something to AI, it's because you want to free up some of your time. And maybe what are you going to do with this time to stay, maybe to enhance your right? So to focus what you like and what you do best. Okay, so thank you so much for your insights. Today was just a generic episode. And next episode, I would like to continue talking about AI in education, maybe in a more structured way. So maybe we can look at examples of how to integrate AI in administration and AI to assist teachers and students in the learning sphere. And in another episode, maybe we can also talk about how we integrate, how we can automate tasks within a company. Like there's many companies out there, especially the SMEs, small and medium-sized companies that would like to boost their production and have maybe limited resources. How can we do this?
Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm quite excited to do more and more talks with you. And this is the most interesting topic at this moment, and I don't know everything about it, right? I'm still a student as the technology is evolving, as every one of us are evolving along with the journey. So this is the most exciting time to be alive, I would say. This is by far the next industrial revolution, and all definitions, and I'm quite excited to learn along the way, and I'm yeah, so very excited to share about my experiences and whatever I learned to your audience.
I'm very excited to be talking to you too, Atif, and I think you're totally right. Even people behind these technologies, behind OpenAI or the other big tech giants, they don't really define AI to be mysterious. They're behind them, but they still find it mysterious. So it's definitely exciting times, and we are lucky to be living them. So I think a lot of people will benefit from our talks, and especially with someone so experienced like yourself. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you so much, Moses. Have a nice day. Bye bye.